Hi, my name is Birdie Winrow, and I'm the owner of Resilient IC, where we do everything early childhood education. After my last week's video post, I received some feedback. And that feedback was, can you share with us some of your experience in early childhood education and your education? So with that being said, and based on the feedback, I'm going to share that with you. So my experience in early childhood education, I shared with you last time. I worked in a pink child care facility here in Oakland. From there, I went on to be a volunteer for a local unified school district. Soon thereafter, I transitioned over to some of the child development centers, and I basically was a substitute. I went to different child care centers in that area. And finally, I was stationed at one child care in San Francisco. Again, I did pretty much the same things with children. I played with them. I loved art, so I made many art activities with the children. And eventually, I moved on to become a childcare worker at a drug rehab center. There, I gained many different experiences with children as I saw children exposed to different drugs in utero. Children had different sorts of trauma, things that I really didn't have any experience with, but it was the basis of just becoming an educator, working in communities impacted by poverty and all sorts of trauma. I love the development of the brain. I got to work with parents that were going through reunification, parents that actually left their children and returned back to the streets. For me, that was a hard time because I got to see babies experience all sorts of things in their lives at a very early age. I saw babies return back to the system. And my first experience with that was traumatic because this baby was going to a hospital without his mom. And so I had to process that. And it took time for me to get through that. Eventually, I became numb to it, which is sad, but it was true because I saw it all the time. Eventually, I left there and I went over to a corporate childcare. Oh my God, I loved it. It was the best experience. The teamwork there was dynamic. They had so many principles to live up to. And there, I pretty much had my first mentor. And I'm going to talk about mentorship later on in videos. But if you don't have a mentor, I strongly encourage you to get a mentor. There is value in that partnership. But anyhow, that was my experience there as a lead teacher. I facilitated parent groups. I led two other teachers, and we just had a good time. From there, I moved on to Sacramento, where I worked at different child cares as well. Eventually, I made it over to Head Start. And Head Start, my God, is my love. And I talked about that in my previous video. So that's a little bit about my experience in a nutshell with early childhood education. I have been a child care worker. I have been a child care worker in a drug rehab facility. I've also been a lead toddler teacher. I've been a home visitor. I've been a center director for both Early Head Start and Head Start. I've been a coach and professional development coordinator, a HR supervisor, an acting HR supervisor, and now I'm an area manager. So I have a lot of experience in early childhood education in different roles, if you will. And I want to say, as a home visitor, you also work with the family. So that's something really critical to early childhood education, is working with the families and working through family goals as well. So anyhow, my education. So I have a bachelor's in human services. And again, I wanted to do human services because to me, early childhood education is, yes, we teach children in the classroom, but there's other dynamics to it. It's about supporting the families and helping them reach their family goals. And just being that caseworker. To me, that's how I see education, is multifaceted. We collaborate with different PTs, OTs. We work with the Unified School District with referrals and IEPs. We work with, I can't think of it right now, but we also work with the agency to create IFSPs. And what does that mean? So IEP is an individualized education plan. IFSP is an individualized family service plan, which is for 0 to 3, and IEP is from 3 to, well, it continues throughout your life or your journey with education. So anyhow, my master's degree is in human development, and my master thesis was about early childhood educators, toddler teachers specifically, their wellness connected to children's development. And that is where the ideal of Resilient IC came from. As a center director, I was able to, observe the teachers that I worked with, and I saw when they were going through things, it showed up in the classroom. And so I thought, we need something for educators, because we have trainings, and trainings are awesome. I am a trainer, but there's an element to professional development and wellness that's missing. And to me, what's missing is having support groups for educators to come together, to talk, to strategize, to collaborate, to partnership with. That's the element that's missing for me in my mind. As an educator, I wish I had spaces to go to talk with other educators, to know that I'm not alone. And in early education, there are times where you feel that you're alone, but guess what? You're not. And so I see myself as a vessel of bringing, again, educators together to talk and to build a community where we can support each other, we can find mentors in that space, and just be together. So in a nutshell, I share with you my experience, my education, and a little bit about why Resilient IC came to be. I'm hopeful that you join me next week, where I share more stories of early childhood education, and the educator is me. Thank you for your time. Make sure to like this video and to share it with other educators. Again, this is about reaching other educators and building our community. So make sure to share it with educators. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram, and again on my YouTube page under my name, Birdie Winrow. I'm sending out many blessings and positive vibes to all the educators. You are much needed. You are appreciated. You are loved. And with that being said, see you next time.